What's good, you guys? Quick intro here on the pod. We've got Sean Alkis, otherwise known as Tech Sales Hacks. This one, we're going to dive deep into what it takes to get into tech sales, what it takes to do well in tech sales, him scaling up a coaching program, and then him in the span of 4 years, I believe, going from basically no sales experience, working up to mid-market AE and burning it all down to start his own business. When I say burning it all down, it's a little dramatic, but his new recruiting business is off to a great start. You'll learn more about that in this. So if you're interested in tech sales, this is going to be the episode for you, whether you're in it or not in it yet. A lot to take away from this episode. Before we get into it, guys, please go down to the first link in the description. I'm going to ask you every time. We are a newsletter first media company. Every Wednesday, we'll send you the high points of these interviews and a bunch of cool news, tools, events, funny stuff straight to your inbox. It's less than a 5-minute read. Something that if you're at work and you want to take your mind off of work, your boss wouldn't be too mad about you opening this email on the company computer. So we want to make you better. We want to help you make sales your dream career that provides you your dream life without consuming your entire life. That's why we exist. Without further ado, you guys, Sean Alkis, episode 10. Let's go. What's up, you guys? Because of Sales Podcast, episode 10. We've got Sean on, Mr. Tech Sales Hacks.
What's up?
Great episode about to go down here. He recently quit corporate. Why'd you quit corporate, man?
Yeah, I think I can kind of like go off on a tangent to start. I think when I was graduating college, I found like we were just talking about it. I found the whole like investing Twitter course guy niche, like found out about Iman Gadzhi and stuff. Saw all these like early 20-year-olds making like $20K a month from, their laptops, like running their own business. And that was like super inspiring to me. And that was something I really wanted to do. I'll take us like all the way back and lead up to how I left corporate.
I started it off hot. So give us the rundown.
So I always wanted to do my own thing. But when I was like 22, senior in college, like I had that dream, but like literally just didn't have like any sort of like money making skills, right? Like I didn't really know sales. I had like an internship at Northwestern Mutual, but like didn't really know sales, like outbound prospecting or like how to build systems, bring on clients, how to fulfill anything. Like I had no idea what I was going to do. So I started working at Northwestern Mutual after I graduated, pretty much like launching my own financial planning practice, but with like the backing of Northwestern Mutual. And for everybody that knows about Northwestern Mutual, can be an incredible career path, but like 90% churn in year one, like it's insane turnover. So I learned a ton though, closing, prospecting, deal cycles. Like I was starting to learn like just how to run a business, close people, create relationships, all that type of stuff. That led into me getting into tech sales just through through some clients that I brought on at Northwestern. Just naturally live in Austin, Texas, huge tech hub here. So like naturally worked with a lot of those guys, talking about like their lifestyle, their investments, how much money they're making. You're asking all sorts of personal questions when you're doing financial advising. So I got like a really good insight into this world of tech, got into tech sales. And then about a year and a half in, I was like grinding tech sales and then working valet and bartending on like weekends and some weeknights, like just hustling. Right. And then I was like, dude, I need to stop doing these crazy side hustles where I'm just trading time for money. And I need to build something that's scalable that maybe will allow me to exit corporate one day. Grant Lannon, shout out to Grant Lannon. I need to text him. I haven't even told him I left corporate, but I joined his program when I was like an AE, when I first started as an AE back in like 2023. And the program was like, learn how to make 10K a month, posting on TikTok, creating an audience, and then launching like a coaching business. And I was like, well, I'll just launch a coaching business about how to get people into tech sales, like change my life. I'm passionate about it. I can talk about it all day. Fast forward 2 years later, like I've been running it for 2 years. We helped over 100 people get into tech sales. Could have left like just off the coaching business, but I wanted something like a little bit more substantial. So 3 weeks ago, which I've been thinking about doing this for like a year, 3-4 weeks ago, launched a staffing business to kind of complement the coaching, which we can probably dive into today, which was like enough for me to say like, okay, like this is legit. I have a partner on the staffing business. The coaching business is pretty consistent income. So between like having something already going like 0 to 1 and then some, and just like really wanting to do my own thing and leave corporate in general, that kind of got me to where I'm at now.
And you have been with the same company from getting into tech sales to building up. And your title when you left, what was
mid-market account executive?
Mid-market. So like for those of you guys who know tech sales, you've probably got a nice like W-2 income. Pretty crazy to think that like you're willing to walk away from that just, what is it, like 3 years, 4 years later?
3.5 years, yeah.
When you before were like trying to figure out how to make that kind of money. Now you're like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to go do my own thing. You didn't necessarily hate your corporate job, right? You kind of just did it to like pursue bigger things.
100%. I loved Procore. I mean, Procore is like a special spot to me. So that's where I was at. SDR team lead, small business AE, mid-market AE. That's like what my career path looked like at Procore. I mean, at the end of the day, if I didn't think it was an amazing career path, I wouldn't have a coaching business around like getting into it, right? Like you didn't see me doing that with Northwestern Mutual, right? I loved working at Procore, and I think tech sales in general is an amazing career path for people that want to make good money, work for amazing companies, and potentially have a really good work-life balance. But when you think about the trade-off, it's like you can make 180 to 280 kind of in like we'll call it like 160 to 260, like in the arena that I was in, which is really, really good money.
Yeah.
Like that's great money. That's why you get into tech sales. But what I'm doing now, like doing my own thing, it's what I align with more. And like, let's be honest, also just the opportunity to like hit a much bigger home run and like 5x that. Like, that's the goal. I think like worst case scenario, I'm making the same that I was at Procore. And that's like truly worst case. Best case, it's like we blow that out of the water, and that, isn't even a thought of like, that salary turns to like monthly goals.
Yeah.
Down the line.
Probably better than I do that, like, dude, if you stay in tech sales for like 10 plus years, you can really build something crazy. Like I know someone here in Austin who works for, you probably know these people too, works for Salesforce, does over $1 million a year W-2, and he just uses it to like put into real estate and all that. How hard was the decision to, I mean, you technically could always kind of go back into it if you wanted to, but was it an easy decision just because you had the cash flow up? Like when you're thinking about that career progression that you were working towards?
I think it was a lot easier for me because I had the coaching business already. So I knew like, okay, well, if I leave this month, I'll be fine. I can survive, still save money. Like I built up the coaching business to a good spot. But yeah, it was really bittersweet. One, because I love Procore, the connections that I have there, amazing people, great company. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to tech sales, like, dude, it would have been really easy to just stay in it, completely dive into tech sales, make as much money as I can every year, continue to get promotions, maybe join a earlier stage company, get equity and really buy into that culture, like really love the team, like try to work towards an exit. And like you said, dude, just like invest the extra money into stocks, crypto, real estate, index funds, like that 401k, brokerage accounts, like that's an easy 10 times safer play than what I'm doing now.
Do you think your time at Northwestern being like financial advisor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did that allow you to kind of put your money in certain spots while you were like coming up in tech that gave you more peace of mind? Like, are you still pretty savvy with that kind of stuff?
I'm still pretty savvy with it, but I would say I did the opposite, because even though I was like a financial advisor and I'd be recommending people do like the typical like Roth IRA, 401k, brokerage account, index funds, mutual funds, like the safe stuff that's dependable that like Warren Buffett would tell you to do, right? I was like investing in like crypto and like small stocks. I was 22 like when I was doing that stuff, trading options and just like trying to hit home runs. So I think I always have had like a dang, I want to try to get rich quick and like see if I can hit like home runs, and like I'm a little bit like more of a risk taker. With that said, I was doing both, like, index fund portfolio here that you can just rely on. But then I was doing a lot of like almost gambling, well-informed gambling. But those were like really good lessons for me to learn then when I was making like 40K a year commission only at Northwestern. Whereas like when I moved on to Procore, like when I was making real money, I wasn't throwing that away. I got a little bit more sharp and like started investing kind of how they taught me in like school and like in that job. Yeah.
I see you post a lot about Bitcoin. You're a believer?
100%. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Crypto's like a touchy subject, right? Like Bitcoin, in my opinion, you got to be a believer at this point. Like I think it's one of the best investments that you can make in terms of how safe it is, but like the upside that you can potentially have. But yeah, I'm like pretty into like Ethereum and like some of the gaming AI coins as well. Definitely still like a little bit of like a gambler when it comes to that stuff. Not with everything, just like with some. I think that stuff's just like fun. I also have a lot of friends that are like into it. And so I just naturally am like, why not, dude? Like we're in our 20s. We can take risks, like start a business, like, and put a little bit of money into some of those like smaller coins and whatnot. But if I was giving advice, it would definitely be like just buy Bitcoin. Yeah. I would never give advice to like go buy some of the smaller stuff that I'm into. Like I'm watching the market pretty consistently, and like I know what I'm doing generally. Yeah, the crypto stuff's fun.
For any of the crypto degens watching, have you hit any home runs? Even if you didn't come up like massively in terms of dollars, like percentage wise, like you threw some money here, it like did
For
something
sure,
crazy.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've hit a few that have been like great, like, 5, 10x. And those have been cool. It wasn't like life-changing money because I'm not putting
Yeah.
enough money in there for it to be life-changing. I'm not willing to risk that much. My best and like worst story of all time in crypto is like NFTs. So I bought, do you know what a moonbird is?
No idea.
I bought this NFT. It was like $8,000 to get in. It was super hype. Everyone knew it was going to do well. You had to like get on the list. And essentially if you got probably like 80,000 people got on the list. There's like 10,000 of them, something like that. If you got picked to mint one, you knew you were going to make like triple your money. So I got picked. So I minted a moonbird, which just means like you get the first ones. And like a week later, so it was like $8,000, I think, to buy it. It was like 2.5 ETH. Like a week later, it was like I got an offer for someone to buy it for $134,000. So it was 34 ETH. But like at the time, it was so euphoric. People were like, "These are going to go to like 100 ETH. Like you'd be crazy to sell now, dude." They're trading for like 1 ETH or like less now. I still hold my moonbird.
That's
So
wild.
yeah,
An ETH is like how much right now?
$2,500.
Dude,
So I ended up like losing, like round tripped the whole bag down to like being down now.
that's wild,
Um,
dude.
Wild, dude.
Yeah.
Like, but that's what that's like the typical thing. Like you see these people making gains, but like 9 out of 10 people are like round tripping their bags, like screenshotting the gains and then
Mhm.
losing money in the end. Like again, though, like, I was like 23 when that happened. Like you learn your lessons and like, dude, if I would have sold it at the top, I would have bought a bunch more moonbirds when they went down and then they would have kept going down. Like, it's not like you can't ever have that mentality of like, well, if I would have sold at the top, dude, like I would
Yeah.
have 134. So what would I have done with that money, dude?
Yeah.
I would have been doing stupid
sure.
shit with it.
No, that's wild, dude. I never got into the NFT stuff, but being in sales, I guess when you know that you have the capability to earn at a high level, like whether it's today or in the future, it's just, I don't know, you take a little bit more risk,
You're also just think about it like this. Like some of the people watching this might be thinking like, wow, I would like never gamble my money like that. But if you're making really good money, which sales, like this is a sales pod, right? Like if you're watching this, you're either in sales or you're thinking about getting into sales. And a big reason why I feel like is because you have the opportunity to make amazing money, right?
Yeah.
So like let's just say you're making like 20 grand a month, let's say. That's like a great, amazing spot to be. Let's say you live off 6 and you invest like 4 grand a month into some safe stuff. Like, dude, you have some gambling money. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can kind of afford to like throw some money on some NFTs and all that. Yeah.
Like as you were kind of coming up, did you keep your living expenses low intentionally or no?
Big time. I still am, absolutely. Especially, I mean, of course I am right now, like just leaving corporate and starting my own thing. Like I definitely want to have my expenses low. I've never been the guy that's like, I should go live in like the high rise. That's like $3,200 a month. I just think that's crazy. It's amazing. And the people that are doing it, I bet it's worth it. I think it's like worth the life experience. But yeah, I mean, I drove my, 2011 Honda Pilot that my parents gave me my sophomore year of college until a few months ago. And like, I mean, I just moved in with a buddy of mine, pretty low rent. I think the lower your expenses are, the more free you kind of feel. Even if you're making great money, man, like, yeah, I think the lower your expenses are, the more free you feel, the more you can invest. I'm not too big of a spender.
When I had my first $100,000 a year in roofing sales, I was living in like a 600 per month, 350 square foot studio apartment. And that was, I mean, now my expenses have kind of gone up because I'm like more confident in my ability to make money. But like, I think, my last year in roofing sales, I was pacing 180K midway through the year and my living expenses were so low and my earning was like so high compared to most 23-year-olds or however old. I was able to like really set myself up well to like play offense just by kind of like eating shit for a couple of years. And anyone watching this, if you're young, you should absolutely do that. Like,
dude, I agree.
People, you guys watching this know people. I know people that they start making money and like first thing they do, buy a car.
Yeah.
Or like first thing they do is
watch or
like just stupid stuff. Yeah. NFTs. I'm just kidding. but like they put like way more, like they over leverage themselves. And this is like the first time they're making money. It's a little bit different when you've been doing it for like 2-3 years. You have some predictability. Yeah, worst thing you can do by far. Anyways, we're talking about like getting into sales, keeping expenses low. You've helped 100 people break into tech sales, a very desired place to be. What is something that someone watching this that might be interested in doing that? What is something that might not be common knowledge that helps people get into tech sales?
Yeah, I think something that's not common knowledge is that when you're thinking about getting into tech sales, you can typically kind of fit like a square peg into a round hole. What I mean by that is you don't have to have the picturesque background to get into tech sales, but it takes a little bit of work, right? So like the things that you can do with your resume, the things that you can do with your LinkedIn to get to that first step, which is landing an interview, you can get your professional brand to the point where you're landing interviews, even if you don't have a great background. And that comes from like firsthand experience of helping guys with like no degrees get into tech sales, or helping guys that don't have sales experience get into tech sales. It's possible, but you have to figure out the resume, the LinkedIn stuff to even get to that first stage, which is landing an interview. And then when it comes to actually landing a role, I think a lot of people think if you're good on paper, you're going to get the role. But really what it comes down to is like winning an interview is like the ultimate vibe check, right? Like they do want you to know about the company, know what they do, be able to handle objections, whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, if you can win them over as a person and almost like make friends with the interviewers, you're going to give yourself a really, really good chance of getting to the next round, and ultimately getting an offer, right? So it can feel daunting. There's a lot of steps. There's a lot of things you have to get on point. But even if you don't have that perfect background, you can get in. And even if you do have a perfect background, you might not get the offer because you're not going about the interview the right way.
How much easier is it if you're going into this with a college degree versus not?
Man, that's a really interesting one because I think it's easier if you have a college degree. Some of the coolest and best companies that I've helped people get to, they didn't have a degree, but they were like, they had sales experience, they had crazy drive, and they were just hungry to get into tech sales. And they were like putting in the work. So the combination of like your energy and being able to win over an interviewer, the people interviewing you, working hard at the interview prep and understanding what the company does, and just the overall want to get into tech sales and having sales experience, that beats having a degree from Duke, having a degree from UT, because it's sales. It doesn't matter if you just went to a good university. You have to be able to be good at the job. They're only going to believe that you're good at the job if you can win them over during the interview process and sell them on yourself. I've helped people get into like HubSpot, Grafana. These are like really top level companies. Grafana even being like an extremely, extremely complex product with no degree. And then I've worked with guys where they do have a great degree. They've actually got some decent work experience, and it takes us a lot of work, a few more rounds of interviews and companies to get in because it's a challenge for them to do well in interviews.
Hypothetical situation. I don't have a degree, but I've done 2 summers knocking door-to-door solar. And let's say each summer, it's probably not an average thing here, but each summer I sold $600,000 worth of solar.
Yeah. How
would you position that to get like the highest hit rate on interviews and that kind of thing?
Yeah. So the way I would position that, a lot of people are going to think, so if that's you, if you're like a high ticket closer, you're in solar sales doing door to door and you're like doing full sales cycle, or if you're closing, a lot of people think that that's what you should focus on. Because when you're getting into tech sales, you're going to be going for a BDR SDR rule, which is like first half of sales cycle. So they're like, oh, well, if I'm doing the full thing, like, of course they're going to at least hire me as an SDR. But that's really not the right way to think. So let's take that solar rep, for example. So what I would do is on his resume and on his LinkedIn, professional headshot, aesthetic background, sales development representative on his title right under the headshot, and then change the experience to business development rep instead of solar closer or like solar consultant, whatever they have. You're just matching lingo. That goes a long way. And keep in mind, when recruiters are searching for candidates for roles that they're filling, they are typing in sales development rep, business development rep. So if you have solar representative or whatever, you're not pulling up, right? So just simple changes to your headshot, making it look professional, changing the wording, that's going to get you people in your DMs, like literally automatically. Like potentially a few days later, potentially the next day, like you're going to get like inbound leads for interviews. And then we're going to completely change the angle that we take for what you did to the business development stuff. So the amount of meetings that you're setting per month, the amount of pipeline that you're building, not what you're closing. And I try not to embellish too much, because you want the guys that you want to be confident. And if you're completely outright lying, it might be a little bit tough to be confident, and you might get caught in that lie as they ask you questions about your role. But I am going to try to take a focus on like making cold calls with anybody I work with that has that experience. If there's 0 cold calls, then you just live and die by the door to door and explain the grind of, hey, if I'm doing this, this is how many meetings I'm setting. This is how much pipeline I'm building. Like, just imagine what I can do in a room full of AC with 2 monitors, a laptop, and a phone. Like, crush that if I can do this. But I think if you're watching this and you have like that like mixed match sales background, you want to get into tech sales, a couple things you should take away from it are focus on the business development side, change your titles to sales development rep or business development representative. Get a good headshot, get a good background photo on LinkedIn, make yourself look legit, get your connections up, and you'll literally have people like DMing you for roles. Yeah.
All right, quick break for the sponsor of this podcast, you guys, the Serial Sales Community. I know we're talking about tech sales in this one, but if you guys are interested in the 1099 remote appointment setting or closing space, the Serial Sales Community is the place for you. Sales training doesn't get you hired. Having proximity to jobs and making sure that you're the best applicant possible gets you hired. And the Serial Sales Community puts an emphasis on that. Last month, we posted 237 open 1099 remote appointment setting and closing roles. And the number of jobs posted versus the number of members coming in on a monthly basis, it's not even comparable. There's more than enough opportunity coming through. You don't find these jobs on LinkedIn or Indeed. They're kind of kept a little bit secret. The best ones are. So we want to help you land a job that helps you build the life that you want. Again, that's what Because of Sales is, and that's what the Serial Sales Community helps you do. So tired of going to the office, tired of the commute, tired of not hitting your potential, want more freedom, control of your schedule, go to the second link in the description and book a call with a team. Mention Because of Sales will give you 5% off any membership you choose. Now back to the pod. I'm actually kind of interested in this myself because I've never really had to use LinkedIn to secure any jobs personally.
Yeah.
But when you're writing, because on LinkedIn, you write your experience, like where you worked, what you did. Is that basically the same exact way that you would write it on your resume, or is there intentionally a difference in how you write it on LinkedIn versus your resume?
I think on LinkedIn, you can keep it a little bit. With some guys that I work with, we literally copy and paste the bullet points and put it onto their LinkedIn, like the description underneath like the role that they're in. With LinkedIn, you can be a little bit more punchy. And I think if anything, you're just going to want to highlight your numbers. So if you're a sales development rep and you hit 150% of quota every quarter, Q1, 146%, Q2, 150%, President's Club. Like, it could be a lot more punchy, quick, to the point.
Yeah.
Because people are glancing at your LinkedIn. You want them to be able to look at your LinkedIn and in 15 seconds be like, he's a good candidate.
Yeah. Or for the people watching that are interested in tech sales, but they're like, dude, I do not want to cold call, or not cold call. I do not want to be an SDR. Like, what kind of experience, or I don't want to be an SDR. I don't want to be a BDR. Like, I want to go straight to account executive. You've probably talked to a lot of those people. Outbound is not the most fun thing ever. So if you can skip it, why not try? But what kind of things can someone have in their past on their resume to permit them to be like more considerable to just go straight to AE?
The real answer at the end of the day to that is you need to have some type of business to business sales experience. That's going to be your saving grace. That's what's going to give you the best chance. If you're a top closer, but it's B2C, that's not going to mean too much to the managers that are interviewing you, because it's a different game doing B2C sales and B2B sales. You either need to go get that experience or find an angle with what you're doing and figure out if you can sell it as business to business sales experience and really push that angle. And again, change the titles to account executive, whatever matches the roles that you're going for in tech sales, right? Something that I warn a lot of guys about. So I get a lot of guys that I'll work with from solar, maybe high ticket sales, or maybe dental sales, whatever sales background it is. And they're doing closing and they want to get right into an AE role. I actually think that's a pretty dangerous game, because when you go into an AE role, there's so much you need to learn. So you're going to have to learn the internal tech stack, just how to navigate like working internally. You're going to have to learn the industry, the product, your prospects, their pain points, how to sell, how to do business to business sales. That's a lot to learn while you're trying to hit quota. So I actually recommend starting as an SDR. Like, learn the fundamentals, learn the company, learn your prospects, learn their pain points, learn the industry, learn your product a little bit, sit in that role for a year, go make your 90 to 100K. And then by the time you get promoted to the AE position, you're going to be in a much, much better spot to succeed. Like, honestly. And I think a lot of guys don't want to hear that because they're like, dude, I don't want to be an SDR. Like I've closed before, but doing that for a year is going to put you in a better spot to actually succeed when you do become an AE. But if you want to skip, figure out how to get some B2B experience.
Sure.
Or take that angle. And that's going to be like your saving grace.
So if you don't have the B2B experience, let's say you have B2C experience, is there a differentiator between maybe who you were selling to in B2C that might be more favorable? Someone who's selling B2C to high net worth individuals versus knocking doors in Alabama, like is that a notable difference, you would say?
I think so. I think I think a lot of it depends on like the deal size too. Whereas like if you're selling like a 2 or 3K product, that's like pretty tough to relate. But if you're selling like a 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 product, which like a lot of the solar stuff is, or if you're just selling a higher ticket item, that's going to give you a better chance. And the bigger the company too, bigger the company, the bigger the sales cycle, the bigger the price tag of what you're selling. Those are all going to play into your favor. And it's not impossible. If you're selling B2C, like you can still get into tech sales. It's going to be more of an uphill battle, but you can still get into tech sales. You're going to just really want to focus on like your disadvantage and how you're going to sell your story as to why you're a good fit, because you got to know that when you're interviewing for those AE positions at these good companies, there's probably a dozen guys from other SaaS companies that have been in that role that are going to be interviewing against you. So you really need to show your stuff, win them over as a person, and you can do it. Like it's not impossible.
Yeah, I'm trying to kind of relate this back because like when I was in roofing sales, before I came into the like high ticket niche, I was looking at all different things, and real estate tech was one of them. And I'm kind of thinking like how I would have positioned this. Like I would knock doors, but I would also go like walk into like brokerages, insurance offices, property management companies, and like secure the account. So that way we get in with the top person, they refer us to all the agents, and then like we maintain that relationship. So if you guys are doing anything similar, I assume that's kind of the angle you'd want to take, right?
100%. I mean, at the end of the day with like the roofing sales, you're like, well, how could I even relate that to this? It's as simple as what your quota is made up of in tech sales is oftentimes like sales qualified leads or opportunities per month that you're setting up your account executive with. And so if you're setting up 10 good meetings a month in roofing sales, like a bullet point on your resume can be, set up 10 SQLs plus per month, right? And then all of a sudden they're like, you're speaking their language, right? And then maybe the next bullet point is like achieved over 125% of quota every single quarter. Number 2 rep on the team out of, 80 in 2024. All of a sudden they're like, okay, he's setting up this many meetings per month. He's consistently going over quota. He's one of the top performers on the team. And your resume starts to kind of shape up a little bit.
What can you say about how AI is being used in the tech sales recruiting / hiring game? Like besides just making sure that you write up your experience well and use the right titles to come up in searches, like what else can you do? Because I believe these recruiters, like they're using AI filters and tools and stuff. Like what else can you do to optimize for that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is what I mentioned, like with the titles, like with the AI stuff and the way that they search, they're going to search by title. That's the biggest thing. If they're recruiting for account executives, like they're going to put account executive. They're going to put small business AE, mid-market AE. That's what they're recruiting for. They're recruiting for SDRs, BDRs. They're going to put sales development representative, business development representative. So the biggest thing you can do is just like mess with your title. And like if you're watching this and you're like, oh, but I'm a sales associate, I can't, it literally doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Like, it just does not matter. Because what you do is probably the same, like very similar to what a business associate or a sales development rep might do at a different company or different industry. Like help yourself, change your titles, you'll be good.
I do the same thing with people because if you take that same role and you look at it in 10 different companies, there's a good chance that they are calling them account executives in one company, whereas maybe you're like a in-home consultant, right?
Exactly.
So what is something for you now that you're just leaning heavily into the recruiting game, like going out for companies, finding candidates? What's something for you that when you look at an application, LinkedIn profile, resume, it is like the fastest DQ or like makes you lose interest super fast in a candidate?
Yeah. A really bad profile picture on LinkedIn. I'm just like, they don't get it.
Yeah.
That's like the number one thing. I'm just like, dude, you clearly must not get it. That's the first thing people are looking at. Or like a bad profile picture mixed with someone that like doesn't have like a background photo. It's just like, wow, like that's not good.
Yeah.
Another thing, like if you have 14 connections, that's not good. Like it just shows that like you haven't been on here. You haven't been you haven't, I don't want to say like you haven't been connecting with people, but it just makes you
Mhm.
look like a bit of a rookie.
Yeah.
And that stuff is so easy. Go get a professional headshot, get an aesthetic background picture. Like it could be a golf course, it could be mountains, it could be a picture of a sunset. Like it doesn't really matter. It could be like just a gray background with like your name and number. Those are the first things I see. And then if you don't have like your work experience there, that's another thing. But everyone's got to start somewhere, man. Like a lot of guys that I work with in my coaching program, we're taking them from 0 to 1. So I'll work with guys like that. But when it comes to finding top candidates for the companies I'm working for, I'm leaving those guys LinkedIn's in
Yeah.
2 seconds. 2 seconds.
Yeah. So I asked you earlier about the crypto highest ROI play, like one where you put in this amount of money, you came
Yeah.
up this much. Can you tell me about a time where you worked with someone to break into tech sales who had like the quote unquote, like the least, like they had no degree, maybe no sales experience, and then they got like the best possible role that they could have? Like, does anything come to mind?
Yeah, I actually got a good one. It was one of the earlier clients that I actually brought on. I don't think he'd mind. His name's Jake. It's like you can't find him from Jake anyway, but dude, I remember, so I was like taking the sales call, super cool guy. We're getting along. And I was like, man, I hope he closes. This is when I was charging like way less and a little bit newer, which is fair, right? Charging less when you're first starting. Dude, I remember he was like, it was $750. That's what I was charging. And he was like, yeah, I think I can do it. I was kind of like walking me through it. He's being pretty transparent. He had like double that in his bank account, dude. Like it was pretty much like, he was like, yeah, I'll get paid again. So like rent will be good. And then like I can get groceries and stuff. Like he was like, I'll be fine. And dude, I was like, should I close him or not, dude? I was like, that's not a lot of money to have like in your bank account, man. I was like, fuck, what should I do? But I was like, I'll like bet on him and bet on myself, right? So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Send over the invoice, and then it's like, boom, it's go time, dude. And like, I'm sure you can relate to this, especially now when I bring on a client, I'm like, we're going to get him in. But then it was a little bit earlier. I was like, it's like heavy on you, dude. I was like, man, we better get him in, dude. Like he better get like the outcome that he's looking for. And he had a couple companies he was interviewing with. One of them was really, really good. SAP Concur. They're like one of the bigger companies in tech sales, Fortune 500 company. And we made it to like the last round. He made it through. They loved him, dude. And then they told him no. They hired some girl from like UCLA Berkeley instead. She was a killer. I like looked her, we kind of found her on LinkedIn after, and it was like tough. Really good school, good experience. And I told him to like send them this nice they really liked him. They usually don't take time to do this, but they're like, hey, we like really liked you. It came down to you and one other person, and we went with her. Like we felt like she was a safer bet. So I had him like send this email, simple email, just like appreciate the time, like really enjoyed meeting you guys. You know, as things progress, I'm sure more roles will open up, like reach out to me. A week later, they called him back and gave him an offer. And that was like one of the most rewarding guys I've ever worked with. He's still there to this day. I think he's been there for like 1.5 years, 2 years now. But that's a fun one to look back on, dude. Talk about betting on yourself. Like that guy had like no money. And he was like, I trust this guy that I've been watching on TikTok to help me get into this sales thing that he didn't know like a ton about necessarily. And yeah, it worked out, dude.
That's awesome. I mean, you changed the dude's life.
Yeah, that guy's awesome. One of the coolest guys I've gotten to work with. He'll still like kind of ping me here and there. He just sent me like a video testimonial not too long ago for like a different landing page that I'm doing. Yeah, that one was sick. I mean, dude, to give context, he was doing like this weird odd sales job on the side, but he was like working at like a food pantry or something like that. Super random, but he had that like charismatic energy. I knew it would work eventually. He knew how to win people over in the interview process. He like reach out to me, ask me questions like, what should I do here? He was rock solid. Yeah.
If you are not that charismatic energy, super big people person, like what is your best bet when trying to break into tech sales, like what other strengths do you need to focus on?
Yeah. So obviously like the resume, LinkedIn stuff, that's a given because you're not gonna be at the interview anyway if you don't have that. If you're not that, you're not shit out of luck. What you're gonna have to focus on is like being ultra prepared for the questions they're gonna ask you, and ultra prepared on knowing what the company does and how they help their clients, their prospects, and what challenges they solve, because they're going to ask you those types of questions as you go. So knowing why you want to get into sales, why you're going to be successful, what the company does, what value it provides, how they help in their industry, I'd say that's a spot where you can shine. They're going to just think to themselves, if you crush all that stuff, they're like, wow, very prepared. Like he's clearly taking his time or her time to really understand this, which just shows that you care.
Yeah.
Right. And then speaking with confidence, like just having that confidence. If you're not going to be like that charismatic, energetic guy, you at least have to have confidence and surety in your answers. That does a lot too.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. So for you guys watching, we've talked enough about how to get hired. I think they have plenty to go and run with. I want to talk a little bit more about you actually being in the AE, hitting quota, and then also later, like juggling that with starting a business, running a business. What are some like just general tips or things that helped you as you progressed into, did you start at like SMB AE and then move to mid-market?
Mm-hmm.
So what are some things that you would do that helped you like get those promotions, hit quota and do well?
Yeah. So we'll start a little bit at the beginning with the SDR role. So to get promoted, I think like 3 things really come to mind that are going to like really help you get to the AE level. Keep in mind, if you're watching this, like it's competitive, right? It's very competitive. There's other killers that are going for it inside and outside of your company. So I would say one thing is like at the very beginning, as fast as you can, like tell your manager your intentions with your career path. If you have a good manager, they're going to help you get there. And it's important to have someone vouch for you and know where you want to go and be able to help lead you. Your manager will help you if you're at a good company. Second thing is like be at the top of the leaderboard with performance. And if you're not on performance, you need to be like top quartile, right? At least top 40%. And if you're top like 40, 30%, you better be up there with like hustle stats, like you better be known as like a grinder. And then 3 is like, which is something a lot of people don't do. You want to make sure that you are meeting people at your company. So what I mean by that is like, of course, your manager, your team, like that's a given. Your account executive that you partner with, that's a given. You should be, especially a few months leading up to once you're eligible for promo, you should be syncing with AEs on that team. You should be syncing with their managers. Most companies are very aware that I know why this SDR is putting time on my calendar. Like he's going for his next promotion. He wants to know more about the role. He wants to create relationships. When I went for my AE interview at Procore, the people I was interviewing with, we had met a month prior. So they were like, what's up, dude? We weren't introing. We weren't doing the like typical awkward stuff at the beginning of an interview. Like I even had one guy be like, he was like, dude, I like asked you all the questions that we were going to do like 3 weeks ago. Like we can just kind of talk about like the role and stuff and like whatever you want in this interview. And he like liked me by the time I was there. So like, of course I got to the next, part of the interview. The AE to AE promotion, same thing. Like you want to make sure you're doing the networking, and it's even, I'd say it's a little bit more intense. Like when you're going up market, it's a lot more riding on that position. There's AEs from other companies that you're going against that are more senior. And again, I think if you're top of the leaderboard, you have a good reputation, your manager, your team members are going to say good things about you, and you have relationships with the managers of the teams that you're interviewing with, you're going to put yourself in a really, really, really good spot.
I know that in some of these tech companies, some of the newer ones, the bigger, the better ones, they're known for having just like better engineers, like more intense product department.
Yeah, for sure.
With sales, is that kind of the same thing? Like some companies, it's just like immensely more competitive landscape than other companies where you can kind of coast and be top percentage, or what have you seen out there?
I think I don't think it doesn't have as much to do with size. That plays a little bit of a factor. Like for example, Google, Amazon, Microsoft are going to have their pick of the litter. But I'd say people in tech sales are all getting more savvy. You want to work for someone that has an amazing product market fit, where it's like as good of a fit as like this microphone is for this podcast. Like if this wasn't here, like this wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So finding companies like that with good leadership. So like maybe VPs or CROs that left Google, started a new company, got $100 million in funding, Series B, and they have product market fit. You're going to find some killers at that company, right? And like those exist, like those companies exist.
Yeah.
Right? Tons of them. So I think it all comes down to it's not size. It's like a mix of who are the founders, who's backing the company, where are the sales leaders from. It's a massive mix of different things to understand like if it's a good company to be selling for, and then that's where the top talent naturally goes to.
Yeah, we talked about this. I think I asked you yesterday. In 2020-ish, when everyone went remote, tech sales was super hot, right? Like everyone's trying to break into it. Everyone's getting hired. It's super easy. And then it kind of dried up a little bit. And now it seems like the faucet's turning back on, switching into recruiter hat from account executive hat. What's the landscape like out there for someone who might be trying to break?
Dude, I would say it's getting hot again. Not as hot as 2020, 2021. Once we got out of the COVID thing, like that was insane because the money printer was on and stuff. Everyone remembers that. Like that was crazy.
Yeah.
So in 2023 and early 2024, like people were like, the market is shit. Like this is a brutal market. Now, like you're not really saying that as much. And you're seeing people, you're getting a bigger like influx of DMs. If you're an account executive working at a good company, you're getting pinged. Companies are hiring again. Not that they completely stopped, but I think there's always people hiring in tech sales. There's hundreds, thousands of companies, right? But right now the market's turning around. It's good. They're hiring SDRs. They're hiring AEs. Companies are expanding. Companies are getting funding. I think it's as good of a time as ever to get into tech sales. And especially if you can find the right company with all the AI stuff going on. I think people are like hungrier and more ready than ever. Also, I mean, I could be so wrong, but it kind of feels like we're getting like, the markets are like heating up a little bit. Like Bitcoin's at 105,000. They're starting to hire more in tech. We're getting past this whole tariff thing, seemingly. Maybe we shit the bed like in 6-12 months, but I mean, I don't know. It feels like things are like trending up and to the right now in a lot of places. So
I think I just saw recently on LinkedIn, you added like your new business now that you're public with it. What's the name of it again?
Tech Sales Talent Partners.
Okay. So why did you decide on recruiting? Because I've done a little bit of recruiting. It's hard. It's not the easiest business to run. You, instead of just managing one client relationship, not client, but like one human relationship, you have to manage two and then hope that they get along, Why did you choose recruiting?
It was super natural. So my like domain of expertise is in tech sales, and then SDR through mid-market AE, SaaS, software as a service. But then my super domain of expertise is helping people get into SDR or like early SMB like AE positions. So without really knowing it, I was like building half of a staffing firm. And so then it was like, well, I'm already doing this. I'm already doing what you just described. I might as well partner with companies and get paid from them too when I'm helping them build their teams. So it's very natural and very like right there. It's like, dude, like I might as well do that. And I think I have like an unfair advantage, right? If I would have started this 3 years ago, dude, I'd be cooked. There's no way. But because I have so much experience helping people get into tech sales, so many connections in tech sales, a partner with a lot of connections in tech sales, followings on social media, I get quality leads naturally and then partner with quality companies. It makes it quite a bit easier, honestly. So it's like, wow, like this is our first month. We're having a great month, but it's like in reality, I've been kind of working towards this for the past like 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Unknowingly, right? But yeah.
Yeah. I ran both sides of that for a little bit, and I told you it's hard. And we were talking about it, maybe this was yesterday as well at this mastermind, that, it's not as clear cut as most people would think. Like, hey, I have this coaching business, I have this recruiting business, like everyone's going to get a job right off the bat. So I want you to pre-handle the objection right now. Okay. Someone comes into your coaching business.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, we're going to get you into tech sales. They see you post a job that is badass. Like it's like one that everyone wants. And then they come to you and they're like, Sean, yo, hook it up. Like, give me an interview. Come on, what's up? And you're like, no, I can't, man. Like there's a little bit more to it. Like what do you tell that person?
Dude, yeah. So I just had this conversation the other day. Most of the guys that I bring on are pretty sharp, so it's easy to have that conversation with on the coaching side. I'm just like really straightforward. I'm like, listen, dude, we can get you into these quality companies but we're going to have to do it like through the back door, meaning we're reaching out to hiring managers, SDRs, or connections that we have, or connections at companies that I've helped people get into, and we can do it through referrals, or we can do it just through applying normally. I'm not able to get them in. I'm not able to get every coaching client that I work with an interview with some of these companies that we're working with, because the requirements are unbelievable sometimes. Year of SDR experience, top 25 school, very hard to meet. So I just simply like explain that to them. I'm like, but don't worry, it's not a big deal. We're going to still be able to get you into an amazing company, maybe even better, literally maybe better than some of those companies I'm partnering with, but we're going to need to do it this way. And that's why you join this.
Yeah.
It's not always going to have a match. And I'd say 8 out of 10 times, it's not really like a match. It's kind of rare.
Yeah.
The coaching clients fit the staffing business. Yeah.
That's a hard one because I'm more in the high ticket space, and there's a lot of people in this space who do placement, and I think it's not real. I tried it before. Doesn't really work. So yeah, just setting that expectation. I just, if anyone ever asks you, send them this clip. All right. I wanted to ask you a couple things because we're running up on time. AI right now in your space, like where do you see it going?
In the recruiting space or tech sales?
We
Probably
can
tech
go
sales will
both.
probably be
Yeah.
a little bit more like relevant. Just in general, the way that I see, so first off, I don't think AI is going to replace SDRs or AEs or salespeople anytime soon. Maybe like way down the line. Buying a product for $5,000, $100,000, $1 million, I don't see that changing like the typical kind of structure of how a sales org is ran anytime soon. Although I do think sales organizations are going to get a lot more efficient through AI. I'll actually use like a really good example. And for any recruiters that are watching this, hopefully none, you're about to get some like free game. So we just started our outbound in our recruiting business. And this is a great example of how AI is going to affect tech sales, recruiting, go-to-market, business development. The typical recruiting model is you go hire a fresh grad or someone in the recruiting space for, call it 80 grand a year. I tell them, hey, we've got these 2 AE positions and this 1 SDR position at company A, B, and C. These are the qualifications. Go find me people, reach out to them, cold call, email them, reach out to them on LinkedIn, set up initial meetings, right? We just started using a tool. We started using Clay to automate that process. So instead of paying like 160 grand for 2 of those people, we're paying this agency, it's just one of my buddies, he runs a go-to-market AI agency, $500 a month and a little bit of commission on top if he gets placements for us, to have Clay outbound doing that work for us consistently, just on repeat.
Yeah.
And those are the types of tools that SDRs, account executives are also going to be able to use, and what smart leaders are going to have their teams learn how to use to like drive efficiency and like outbound and building pipeline without having to do the traditional model of just hire as many SDRs, business development reps as we can get to grow the company. It's a lot cheaper to use AI tools and have like your sellers kind of like direct it in however way it needs to so that you can get like the top quality leads that you're trying to find.
Yeah. I think we spent maybe like 15 minutes in the 3rd episode of this podcast with Kellen. We were talking about that.
Yeah.
And he was like diving into how they're using Clay, and it's absolutely insane. You guys should go check that out if you haven't seen it. I have 2 more questions for you, a little bit more zoomed out, holistic. The first one is, if you didn't and you couldn't get into tech sales 4 years ago, what kind of sales would you choose and where do you think you'd be with it?
Man, who knows? I don't know, man. Either what comes to mind is like med tech, like medical device, or like dental sales. Man, that's a good question. Man, I don't know. I would have just figured out the highest paying industry with some work-life balance, and I've just pursued it really hard.
Yeah.
And yeah, I assume I'd be like a top performer just because I was in tech sales and like I'm just like willing to put in the work to be good at a job.
That's fair.
Maybe high ticket sales. I could have seen myself like joining like a program like yours and just like at least giving it a shot, seeing like what happens. If you're in high ticket sales and you're like connected, getting some good offers, it'd be pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, with the high ticket stuff, I feel like it's like a gateway to just owning your own online business. Because if you get ingrained into a decent company, they're so lean in many cases to where it's like you're kind of learning how to do this up here, this back here.
Oh, yeah. You're like working for a startup.
Yeah. The last question is, the whole podcast is like because of sales and newsletter, all that. Talk a little bit about your life because of sales, like getting into this, whether it was natural or not. What has it done for you? What kind of person has it turned you into? And like, what can you attribute sales to in your life?
Yeah, dude, I would say because of sales, like I'm like a business owner running my own company and like not working in the corporate world. That's like the heaviest, most impactful part of it. Because of sales, dude, like I get to wake up and choose how my day goes. And I was able to start a company. Like it taught me the skills of how to start my own company, be confident enough to post content. And I think probably because of sales, I'm able to create deeper relationships with people and just be like a little bit more myself. Cause sales definitely teaches you a lot about like communication and yourself. Like when someone hops on that Zoom and you're like ready, like if you're nervous, you're like, why am I nervous? You get to kind of like dive into that a little bit and like learn more about like how you tick and how you work when it comes to people interaction, stuff like that. Yeah. And for everybody watching, like I remember in college, like verbatim, I was like, well, I don't want to do sales when I was thinking about what I wanted to do. Then I realized financial advising was sales. And I was like, okay, I'm like, I get it now. The whole tech sales thing happened and now we're here because of sales on this podcast, dude.
Dude, that's like so similar to me. I got into estimating because I studied estimating in construction science in school. I did not want to do sales. And I was like, shit, like estimating is sales. Like, that's funny. Where can people find you? We'll link it all down below, but let them know.
Tech Sales Hacks. So Tech Sales Hacks with a Z on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, or no, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. And then it's Tech Sales Hacks _on Instagram. And then Sean Alkis on LinkedIn.
What about people that want to work with you on one side or the other of the business?
Yeah. If you graduated from college, good school, average school, have some sales experience at a tech company, but you want to work for a more exciting company, companies that are growing like crazy and trying to expand their team, I'm more than happy to connect with you and put you in touch with some pretty exciting companies that we're working with. If you have more of that mixed match background where you're not this perfect fit for what these companies are looking for, always more than happy to have an intro call and see if you're a good fit for the coaching program. Yeah.
Cool. And if you guys raise some money, I assume everyone you work with raises money and then they can afford recruiters.
Pretty much.
So happen with this guy.
Yeah. If you're a company that's looking for talent, more than happy to connect, get an understanding of like what you're looking for, the type of reps you need, like help you go to market with that stuff. So
cool.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate you coming on, dude.
Thanks for having me.
That's it.
All right, man. See you guys.
Okay, you guys, that was the pod with Sean. Thank you for watching all the way through. Banger pod. Sean's a guy here local in Austin, Texas. I've gotten to know pretty well. Very solid guy, someone I really wanted to have on. So glad you guys got to witness that one. Before you head out, if you're looking to be a sponsor of this podcast, there's a form below. We'd love to have you on. We're early, we're scaling fast, and we want to get your company in front of the right people. So there's that. And then also, if you are not subscribed to our newsletter yet, go to that first link in the description. Every week, we'll send you some really good stuff, some stuff that's going to help you turn the current sales gig into the dream sales gig. We want to make you better. We want to make you faster, smarter, so you can smoke the competition and kick back at the end of the day and not worry if you did enough. So again, guys, thank you for tuning in. This next guest we have on is going to be a banger. Don't miss it. Subscribe to the newsletter. Subscribe to the podcast too, wherever you listen. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Subscribe, rate us. It really means a lot. And I'll see you in the next one.